Hello, grade 12 learners. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. You are with Mr. Hlungwani even today. Today we will be dealing with business studies when it comes to chapter 15 notes. Chapter 15, I will be dealing with chapter 15 in the syllabus of teachers. It simply states that a teacher with the learners, they must do chapter 15 notes in term 3. These notes, you must make sure that by term 3 you know them, so that in your final examination you can be able to answer your final examination. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment and share, guys, so that you can get more content relating to what I am teaching. Okay, fine. Today we will be dealing with what? Presentation and data respond. We have to know what is presentation and data respond, and what are we expected to provide as learners or people that they will be examined. So we have to know the presentation. Then what is a presentation? This is a definition of presentation. Presentation is the act of communication information, data audience in an organization, whereby here it's an act of doing what? Communicating. That's a presentation. And then data respond. What is a data respond? We have to know what is data respond. Data respond is an interpretation and analysis of information provided. That's a data respond. That's the meaning of what? Data respond. Interpretation and analysis of information provided. That's data respond. So without wasting a lot of time, let us just do the notes. Chapter 15, business studies. Guys, make sure whether you are given a chance of doing your matric, maybe you are old or young, or you are still in the grade 12, which is you are still a student, or you are someone that did not get a chance of doing grade 12 in their early age, you are also welcome to watch these videos. They are going to be very helpful. So now we will be dealing with what? Factors to be considered when preparing for a presentation. So we have to know that when it comes to presentation, there is before, during and after. Those are the three things that we must know when it comes to what? Presentation. There is what? During, there is before the presentation, there is during the presentation, and after the presentation. So the factors to be considered when preparing for a presentation, we have to know, which is what? Before the presentation. Don't be misled by anyone, but what I am teaching you now or telling you, I am telling you something that you will be asked in your final examination. What we must expect when it comes to presentation? The factors. Number one, before the presentation, we have to know what happens or what should you do before the presentation. And then during the presentation, we have to know what do you do during the presentation, and we have to know what is you have to do after the presentation. We have to know. So okay, let me just before the presentation, number one, the bullet point that you must know as a learner or someone that will be examined. Number one, clear purpose of the of the presentation. You must do what? Clear purpose. You must give what? Clear purpose and main points of the introduction. I hope you are highlighting your notes or writing them down. Give what? Clear purpose of clear purpose and main points of what? The presentation. Clear purpose and main points of what? The presentation. Clear purpose and main points of what? The presentation. Clear purpose and the main point of what? The presentation. I am repeating this because I want it to stay in your mind. You do what? You must give what? Clear purpose and what? and main points of what the presentation. You must give clear purpose and main points of the presentation. Then bullet point number 2 that I think you should know as someone that will be examined. Number 2, information presented should be relevant and accurate. That's bullet point number 2. Number 1 is what? Clear purpose and main points of the presentation. Number 2, information presented should be relevant and accurate. That's bullet points number 2. Now bullet point number 3 that you should know, it's that prepare a rough draft of the presentation with a a structure that has what? Introduction, body, and conclusion. You do what? You prepare a rough draft that has what? A local structure. What is a local structure? It's a structure of what? The presentation. What do you have in the presentation? First of all, you must have the introduction, body, and the conclusion. So you must do what? Prepare a rough draft of the presentation with what? Local structure, which is introduction, body, and conclusion. Bullet point number 4 that you should know when it comes to the presentation. Prepare for a feedback session. You must also do what? Prepare for a feedback session. Don't forget that this is before the presentation. We are not yet in the presentation, but this is before the presentation. Number 1, you give clear purpose and the main points of what? The presentation. Number 2, information presented. It must be what? Relevant and accurate. Number 3, prepare a rough draft of the presentation with a local structure, which include what? Introduction, body, and conclusion. Then number 4, prepare for the feedback session. Because after presentation, you must give, the audience, they must give you the feedback of how did they hear the presentation. This is before, not during the presentation or not after the presentation. You are preparing everything before the presentation. Now we move to the second one, factors that must be considered by the presenter while presenting during the presentation. So now we are focusing on what? On the presentation. We are in the presentation. Right now you are standing in front of the audience, presenting to them. You are giving what? Your presentation to who? To the audience. You are standing there now. So what should you do when you are there? Remember, first of all, we covered what? The before the presentation. Now we are in what? Within the presentation. Now you are standing there. Remember, you have prepared for a feedback session. You have information presented should be relevant and accurate. You were preparing by then that the information that you are going to present is going to be what? Accurate and relevant. And then you prepared your rough draft with it has what? Format of what? Introduction, body, and conclusion. You have also prepared the clear purpose and main points of the introduction. So now of the presentation. So now you are in the presentation, standing in front of the audience. Number 1, show more important information first. You must do what? Show more important information first, so that they can be interested. No, okay, we have to listen to this person because this person is coming up with something that is important. The second thing that you must do in your presentation, keep the presentation short and simple. That's the other thing, so that the audience, they are not going to be what? Bored. Keep what? The presentation simple and short, so that the audience won't be what? Bored. Number 1, you show what? More most important information first. Number 2, you keep the presentation simple and short. Number 3, pace yourself. Do not rush or talk slowly. Pace yourself. You must have your level of speaking. Don't rush when you speak or don't speak slow. That's bullet point number 3 that you must highlight in your notes. Then bullet point number 4, stand in a good position where the audience can clearly see the presenter or the presentation. Stand where? Stand in a good position where everyone can see you, where the audience can clearly see the presenter. That's bullet point number 4. It's enough for you to know 4 points, but I feel like I should just give you the last point. Now, manage time effectively to allow time for questions. You must do what? Manage time effectively so that you can have time of the questions, so that you can allow the audience to ask you questions. So that's how your presentation should be. I hope everyone who's going to write their final examination, they are going to pass. Whether you are writing in May, June, July, September, October, November, December, you are going to pass your final examination. Now we move to number 3. What is number 3? Responding to a question in a non-aggressive and professional manner, handling feedback after the presentation. Remember, number 1, we spoke about what? Before the presentation. Number 2, we spoke about what? Factors that must be considered by the presenter while presenting during what? The presentation. So now, again in the presentation, you are allowing what? The audience to ask questions. So this is the response of you after asking the questions. Responding to the questions of the audience in non-aggressive and professional manner. Handling what? Feedback after the presentation. So you must not be aggressive and you must be professional when answering to their questions. So how can you be professional and how can you not be aggressive? Number 1, the presenter should listen first, then respond. The first thing that you must do what? Listen. Then you do what? You respond. Number 2, keep answers short and to the point. Keep the answers short and to the point of what? Of the audience. Number 3, always address the question, not the person. Always you do what? Address the question, not the person. Number 4, that you must know when it comes to what? Responding to the question. Encourage questions from the audience, whereby here, when they ask you questions, you answer them. After answering them, you do what? You encourage those ones who did not ask to ask you questions. Do you get it? You encourage those ones who did not ask questions to ask you questions. Even the ones that asked, if they have some other questions that they feel like they want to ask, you also encourage them. Well, no, they can bring more questions. They can bring what? More questions. Now we move to another one. Number 1, we spoke about what? The presentation before the presentation. Number 2, we spoke about what? Factors that must be considered when the presenter is doing what? Presenting. Then number 3, we spoke about what? The response to the questions of what? Of the audience. Now we are moving to number 4, which is areas of improvement in the next presentation. Okay, fine. At your introduction, you prepared it, right? You considered everything that must be considered in the interview. So obvious, now you have to do what? Improve your presentation for next time. the questions that the audience asks you. You must make sure that next time they get clarity without any question being asked on that thing. So how do you do that? Use humor appropriately. Use what? Humor appropriately. Use a humor appropriately. What is a humor? When we speak about humor, we're speaking about what? Ubuntu. Number 2, always be prepared to update. Keep the information relevant. That's number 2. Then number 3 that you should know, reflect on any problem and avoid it in future presentation. That's how the data respond. It's the most interesting topic when it comes to metric business studies. It's one of the interesting topic that learners should be happy when they come to it, and easy. It is very easy for learners to grab these points. Now we move to what? Examples of non-verbal presentation method. When we speak about non-verbal presentation method, we are speaking about tables. That's a non-verbal presentation method. We're speaking about the writings, written, something that is written. It's non-verbal presentation method. Business reports, it's a non-verbal presentation method. Handouts, it's what? Non-verbal presentation method. When we speak about verbal, we speak about something that do not take out the sound, something that is quiet. That's what? Something that is verbal. When we speak about something that is verbal, we are speaking about something that do not take out the sound. Unlike me and you speaking, this what we are doing now, we are doing what? A verbal, because I am taking out sound. Then we have the impact of the PowerPoint or data projector. What are the impact of a data point? Data projector and PowerPoint. We have positive and negative. Let us start with positive. Easy to combine with sound video clips. It is easy to combine with what? With sound and video clips. So here we are simply talking about what? Oh, there is something that I did not mention. No? There is a verbal, a non-verbal presentation, and a visual arts. Visual arts. What is visual arts? I only left 2 points. Visual arts, it's handout, flyer, and then visual arts, it is posters, signs, banners. Those are what? Visual arts. So now we go to what? PowerPoint and the data projector. Easy to combine with sound and video clips. Number 2, simple, less cluttered slide may capture the interest of the audience. As I speak now, this is what we are calling what? PowerPoint and data projector. The moment I speak, I capture what? Your attention or the interest of you. You understand? You have to be interested and ask yourself, no man, I have to listen to this man, because what he is simply telling us or saying to us, it is very helpful. So bullet point number 3, under what? PowerPoint and data projector. Video clips can be provided different and capture the attention of the audience. They can be what? Provided different and capture what? The attention of what? Of the audience. So that's how it is. And then the negative impact when it comes to what? PowerPoint and data projector. Unable to show slides without electricity or data projector, whereby it is impossible for you to watch these videos without what? Without electricity or data projector. So that's the negative impact of what? PowerPoint and data respond. Now we move forward to the last one when it comes to negative impact of the PowerPoint. May lead to irritation. May result in what? In the audience. losing interest. You can be irritated as I am presenting my notes here, and then you become irritated. The moment you become irritated, I want to teach you something today. The moment you become irritated by a teacher or someone that is trying to help you, my son, you are not going to pass. The moment a teacher enters inside the door, and then you start to be irritated, even if that person can teach you, you are not going to grab anything. Those are some other things that we must be aware as learners. Those are some other things that we must be we must be aware as learners. Now we go to impact of overhead projectors or transparency. We have positive impact. What are the positive impact? We have positive and negative. Let us start with what? Positive impact. We have to know what are the positive impact of what? Overhead projectors or transparency. Let us hear. It may be an effective, useful reminder to the presenter of all the points to be covered. That's number one. Number two, summarize or simple graphic diagrams processes may be explained easy on transparency. Then bullet point number three, effective transparency or projects should be clear and visible, e.g. they must do what? Large print, few words and line. So here on the transparent, they are simply saying that they must be what? Large. Transparency is something that you can see. Something that you can see. Then the negative impact of it. Let us grab only 2 points on the negative impact. Not easy to combine with sound or audio. It is not easy to put what? The sound in a picture. Something that it's like a handout. It can easily replaced by a PowerPoint presentation. It can be what? Easy, replaced by what? PowerPoint presentation, whereby they can give you notes at your school. They don't teach you, they just give you notes and go home and study them. But it's more easier for you if you listen to someone explaining those notes. So that's what they are simply talking about in this thing. Now we go to the impact of handouts and flyers. So we have to know what are the positive impact of what? Handout and flyers. Number one, handout may be handed out at the start of the presentation to attract attention, encourage participation, whereby they can hand out what? The handout before the presentation, so that you can be also interested and try to go through what? The handout that has been presented to you or given to you. Number two, it is easy to update the handout with the recent information. It is easy what? To update the handout with the recent information. Number three, extra information. The handout can be having what? Contact details, price list of, may be handed out to promote the service of the business. So that's the positive impact of what? Of the handout in the presentation. They can be adding what? Contact details and so forth and so on. Now we move forward to the negative impact when it comes to what? When it comes to the handout. The negative impact, it is only summarizes key information. Some details may be lost, whereby here it may be what? Only summarizing what? The key details or the key information, but some information it's not being summarized there. Printed material is expensive and it can easily be lost. It can be easy what? Be lost. You can lose it easy. That's what they are talking about. Now we go to what the impact of the flip chart. What is the impact of the flip chart? Mainly used for a small audience to note down short notes. It is used for what? A flip chart. It is used for the audience to take notes during what? The presentation. Very effective in brainstorming senses as suggested. As suggestions are summarized or listed. It is good on what? On a brainstorming what the presenter is doing, Then we move forward. In a sales pitch, it may be useful during the feedback session to summarize main facts, aspects that the presenter needs to follow up. It can be also useful for you to be to be writing the important point that the presenter needs to follow up. For instance, let's say I was giving an presentation, then one of the audience asked me a question. That's where you would get a chance of writing it if you did not also hear the question by then. Or you are the one who's asking the question, you did not hear it while I was presenting. Then the moment I give you, you write it down. That's the positive impact of what? Flip chart. The negative impact of flip chart. What is the negative impact of the flip chart? There may not be enough time during the presentation to make written notes. Some ideas may not be listed. It may not have enough time to do what? To do the notes during the presentation. Number 2, handwriting may be illegible, which may not contribute to a professional image or presentation. Just imagine a big company giving you the handout. It seems like we are unprofessional, we don't know what we are doing. That's also what the negative impact of the flip chart when it comes to the negative impact. Now we move to what? Interactive whiteboard. The impact of what? Interactive whiteboard. What is the positive impact of what? Interactive whiteboard. Easy to combine with sound, other visual aids. Which as it is easy to combine whiteboard, we are speaking about something that is like smart board and so forth and so on. It is easy to combine with sound or other visual aids. When we speak about other visual aids, we are speaking about pictures and so forth and so on. Then useful to capture feedback and new ideas. It is useful to capture what? Feedback and new ideas. Can be controlled by the touch of a finger. It is easy because you only just put your finger to control it, so that the presenter can move away from the computer during the presentation. You just put your finger, you control it, and then you move away so that the audience can be able to see what you have written there or what you have put it in that in the interactive whiteboard or smart board. Then the negative impact of it can only be used by a presenter who works the manufacturers of the interactive whiteboard or smart board, uses it to its fully potential. Not everyone can use what? Smart boards. That's the negative impact. Let's say you are appointed to be the presenter of the presentation, but all to find out that you don't know how to use the smart board, and you are required to do what? To use a smart board in that presentation. So that's the negative impact. Technical challenges may render it ineffective. Why? Lose signal while using it. It can also lose signal while using it. You cannot use it when there is no electricity. So that's how it is. The impact of the posters. What are the impact of the posters, of the signs, and so forth and so on? It is useful in promoting the long visions of the business, because the posters, you have to do what? You have to put a log and the vision of the business. So that's how it is useful. as you know that ShopRite you save, and so forth and so on. You know, now we move to what it should be colorful to support the core message of the presentation. It should be colorful, because the moment it becomes colorful, you will be able to see it while you are still far, or it will be easy for you to be attracted by those colors, and then you will end up doing what? Have the interest of looking there. That's the positive impact of the posters, signs, banners, portable advertising stands, flags. Now we move to the bullet point number 3. Can make impact when placed strategically in or outside the venue. It can make what? Impact if we put it strategically. Let's say we are targeting school learners. I have to take that post and put it maybe near the school, so that learners can be what? Watching. They can go to that post and watch it, you know, and then from there they can be able to come to our business. So that means it is what? Effective. Now we go to the negative impact of what? Posters, signs, banners, portable advertising stands, or flags. The negative impact may overpower from the presentation if it is too big, not placed correctly. Let's say the poster is placed behind the presenter. Now the audience, they are no longer looking at the presenter, they are looking at what? At the post. That's what they are simply talking. That's the negative impact. Only focuses on visual aspect, as it cannot always be combined with sound. It focuses on what? On visual aspect, as it is always not going to be what? Combined with a sound. We cannot put a sound in a picture. It cannot talk to you. We cannot even put even a music or an audio or something. Those are some other negative impact when it comes to what? Posters, signs, banners, portable advertising stands, and flags. So guys, we are done with presentation and data handling. Those are the notes of presentation and data handling. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so that you can get more content relating to schoolwork.